Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. The movie today is Dolphin Tale, and it's about a boy who tries to heal an injured dolphin that was hurt by fishermen who tried to catch it. How about we watch it? The movie begins with a boy named Sawyer. He was a small, depressed child whose life was filled with sadness, and his academic performance had become terrible. All of this was because his father left them 5 years ago, and since then, Sawyer has been depressed. Sawyer didn't have any friends at all and always felt lonely and depressed. His life was empty, and he was living in his own world, not interacting with anyone. Sawyer had only one friend, his cousin named Kyle. Kyle was a highly skilled swimmer, training hard to compete in the Olympics and win a gold medal. One day, Kyle decided to join the army to earn money for his trip to the Olympics. Sawyer was really upset that Kyle was going to leave because Kyle was the only person he had. The next day, Sawyer wakes up, and it's his first day of school. When he wakes up, he sees them saying goodbye to Kyle as he's leaving for the army. Sawyer was so sad that he didn't even say goodbye to him. After that, Sawyer takes his bike to go to school. Meanwhile, a man passing by the beach notices an injured dolphin stranded on the beach. Immediately, the man spots Sawyer passing by on his bike and calls out to him, asking for his phone to call the rescue team to come and save the dolphin, whose tail was severed. At that moment, Sawyer approaches the dolphin and unties the rope from it, feeling deeply sorry for the dolphin's condition. He wanted to help but didn't know what to do. The dolphin, which was female, was crying, making sounds just like a little bird. The rescue team arrives immediately, led by Clay and his daughter Hazel. They perform first aid on the dolphin and then take it to the hospital for further treatment. Sawyer continues on his way and goes to school. While at school, Sawyer's mind is entirely focused on the dolphin. He just wants to finish school so he can check on the dolphin. After school, he grabs his bike and rushes to the care center where the dolphin is being cared for. When he arrives, he is very anxious and scared of a bird that is bothering him. He then meets Hazel and asks her if he can see the dolphin. She takes him to where the dolphin is located. Hazel then informs him that the dolphin's condition is very critical because blood flow to its tail was restricted for too long due to the significant blood loss. The dolphin urgently needs treatment for its tail to regain movement. Then Hazel asks Sawyer to leave quickly because her father has arrived and no one is allowed to enter the area. If her father sees Sawyer, he will be very angry with her for letting him in. Sawyer leaves the place and goes back home. He decides to conduct extensive research on dolphins and their sounds to better understand the injured dolphin and determine what it needs. Later, his mother returns home and finds him asleep beside his computer. The next morning, Sawyer goes to school, and as soon as he finishes, he rushes back to the care center to check on the dolphin. At the center, Dr. Clay sees Sawyer and tells him to leave immediately. However, Hazel quickly intervenes and explains to her father that Sawyer was the first person to find the dolphin and helped by untying the rope. When Dr. Clay learns this, he changes his mind and allows Sawyer to stay with the dolphin to help improve its mood. Once Sawyer enters the dolphin's space, the dolphin responds positively and approaches him, which makes Dr. Clay very happy. As the day ends, Sawyer's routine repeats, and he goes to sleep only to wake up and go to school the next day. After school, he heads to the dolphin's rehabilitation center. However, when he arrives, he finds Hazel sitting on the ground, crying. He approaches her, confused, and tries to understand what's wrong. Hazel then tells him that they had to amputate the dolphin's tail in order to save its life and treat it, due to the severe blood loss. Sawyer is deeply upset about the dolphin. He goes in to see it, and Dr. Clay explains that they had no choice but to amputate the tail to save its life. Both Sawyer and Hazel are extremely distressed about the dolphin's condition. Later, Sawyer sits with Hazel, and they talk about their families. Hazel asks him about his father, but Sawyer becomes upset and quiet, telling her that he hasn't known anything about him since he left them a long time ago. Hazel feels upset for Sawyer and shares that her own mother passed away when she was very young. She has missed her ever since and wishes she could have just one more day with her. Dr. Clay then calls them over to see the dolphin, and he asks Sawyer to go into the water and swim with it. Sawyer is very excited about the experience. Sawyer enters the water and approaches the dolphin. As soon as he touches it, he feels a strange but joyful sensation. Dr. Clay then leaves them to attend a meeting with the board of the care center. At the board meeting, they discuss their significant debts and their inability to pay them off. They propose accepting any offers they receive and selling the facility, as well as returning all the animals to their original habitats. However, Clay disagrees with their decision and leaves the meeting, frustrated. He returns to the dolphin and the kids, and together they name the dolphin Winter. Then, Clay tries to feed Winter, but Winter refuses the food. Hazel's grandfather suggests that they let Sawyer be the one to feed Winter. Sawyer eagerly tries to feed Winter, and everyone is surprised when the dolphin eats from Sawyer's hands. Sawyer is overjoyed by this. As the day ends, Sawyer returns home. When Sawyer gets home, his mother talks to him about school. Sawyer lies to her, but his mother realizes he's lying after finding out from a teacher that he hasn't been going to school for a week. She then asks him what he has been doing and where he has been all this time. She then notices a strong, fishy smell coming from him and realizes that he has been at the beach. She tells him to take a bath. When he comes out, she argues with him and insists that he must go to school starting tomorrow and nowhere else. Sawyer tries to explain about Winter the dolphin to her, but she remains firm in her decision. Sawyer goes to his room, feeling sad and disheartened. The next day, his mother takes him to school, but Sawyer refuses and tells her about Winter the dolphin. Seeing how determined Sawyer is about Winter, his mother decides to go with him to the care center to understand who Winter is and why Sawyer is so attached. They arrive at the center, and Sawyer quickly runs to show his mother around the facility. He eagerly takes her to see Winter, excited and happy to share the dolphin with her. His mother is on cloud nine with Winter and decides to allow Sawyer to keep doing what he loves. She agrees that he can come to the center and spend time with Winter as much as he wants. Then, his mother spoke to the teacher to arrange for Sawyer to only attend school for exams. However, the teacher refused, explaining that allowing this would create unfairness among the students and that he couldn't agree to such an arrangement. One day, Sawyer's mother makes him very happy by giving him a nice wetsuit. Sawyer runs to her, thrilled, and thanks her profusely for allowing him to stay with Winter. The next day, Sawyer rushes to see Winter at the center. Everyone notices that Winter is swimming and moving much better than before, and her condition has significantly improved. When Sawyer returns home, he finds his mother crying because his cousin Kyle had a serious accident in the army and sustained severe injuries. They all remain distressed and continue to mourn him. When Sawyer is with Winter, Clay asks him to stay overnight to monitor Winter, as she only feels comfortable with him. Sawyer agrees and stays with Winter, spending the night playing with her. The next day, Sawyer returns home to welcome his cousin Kyle, but finds that he isn't there. His mother explains that Kyle has requested to go to a hospital for rehabilitation because his mental state is very poor, and he needs some time alone. Sawyer starts crying hysterically because he wanted to see his cousin Kyle and check on him. His mother comforts him, holding him and trying to console him as he struggles to calm down, feeling deeply distressed. The next day, when Sawyer visits Winter, Dr. Clay informs them that Winter's current swimming movements pose a significant risk to her life. If she keeps swimming this way, it could severely affect her spine, impair her breathing, and potentially be fatal. Sawyer is deeply worried and distressed about Winter upon hearing this, as he has grown very attached to her and can't imagine life without her. Everyone then works on teaching Winter the correct swimming technique while searching for a solution to her problem. Later, Sawyer and his mother visit Kyle to check on him and ensure he's okay. When they arrive, they see Kyle sitting in a wheelchair. Kyle is upset because he doesn't want anyone to see him in this state. Kyle then asks them to leave and not come back. Sawyer leaves feeling hurt by Kyle's request. However, Kyle soon realizes that Sawyer is upset and quickly catches up with him. Sitting to talk, Kyle explains that he has a spinal issue, which means his recovery will take longer while they search for a solution. When Sawyer asks him about his swimming dreams, Kyle becomes very upset, feeling that his dream is lost. He then leaves, leaving Sawyer behind. Sawyer looks around and notices many patients in the facility with prosthetic limbs. He then goes to Kyle's doctor and asks him to accompany him to the rehabilitation center to help with Winter. When they arrive, Clay is frustrated that he wasn't informed earlier, but Sawyer apologizes and explains that he was afraid Kyle's doctor would refuse. The doctor then examines Winter and assesses her condition. The doctor informs them that the dolphin's tail is too soft to attach a prosthetic tail, making it impossible for anyone to create a functional prosthetic for Winter. Despite this, the doctor assures them that he will think of a solution to Winter's problem. Meanwhile, Clay conducts X-rays of Winter and discovers that her spine is similar to a human's. When the doctor learns this, he decides to help find a solution for Winter. He requests prosthetic materials from the company he works with and, in the meantime, creates a temporary basic tail until a specialist can develop a more suitable one. When they fitted the temporary tail on Winter, she rejected it and kept hitting the water until she broke it. The doctor was very upset, fearing that he might fail to find a solution for Winter and feeling deeply discouraged. When the doctor returns to the patient area, he sees Kyle in his room, feeling emotionally drained and dissatisfied with his current condition. Kyle is hoping for a solution to his own situation. Kyle was looking at pictures of Olympic swimming champions, wishing he could be among them. The doctor, noticing this, reassures him that things can improve with time and encourages him to leave the hospital and start living his life again. One day, Dr. Kyle sees on the news that a major storm is approaching. He begins to move Winter and all the other marine animals into the facility to ensure their safety and protection. Sawyer is helping with the preparations, but his mother comes to take him home, extremely worried about his safety. The storm hits, causing significant damage to the facility. Kyle decides to leave the hospital and go to Sawyer to help him. When Sawyer sees Kyle, he is thrilled and takes him to see Winter. They hold a board meeting where they announce the decision to sell the facility. All board members agree to the sale in order to avoid the significant losses they are facing. They inform Clay that they have found a place to transfer all the marine animals except Winter. No one is willing to take Winter due to her special needs and the extensive care she requires. Clay asks for a 2-week extension to find a solution for Winter's tail. However, he is informed that there is no time to spare and that the facility must be sold as quickly as possible. Clay goes to Hazel and Sawyer to inform them of the situation. They are very distressed and worried about Winter. Clay explains that he no longer has the time or resources to continue her treatment. Sawyer, upset, leaves the facility. On his way back, he encounters a woman asking about Winter's location because her daughter, who is injured, was impressed by Winter after seeing her there. Sawyer is thrilled and shows Winter to the doctor. Later, he goes to Clay and suggests creating a website to raise funds through donations to help Winter and keep the center operational. Dr. Clay refuses because he is worried about raising false hope without a guaranteed outcome. However, Hazel joins the discussion, and after talking it through, they all agree to Sawyer's idea. They start preparing for the campaign, spreading Winter's story to as many people as possible. They also decide to organize a large charity event to raise significant funds for Winter. Kyle appears on a television program and invites them to cover Winter's charity event. He also decides to organize a swimming match between himself and a world champion swimmer to generate excitement and attract more people. All the proceeds from the event will go to Winter. The doctor managing Kyle was able to create a well-designed prosthetic tail for Winter. It was crafted with advanced scientific techniques and high-quality materials. The doctor brings the new prosthetic tail to Winter. However, Winter rejects it once again, and everyone feels overwhelmed by despair, sensing that hope is slipping away. One day, while Sawyer is with Winter as she swims around him, he is saddened and thinking about a solution for her. By chance, he realizes that the prosthetic tail itself isn't what's bothering Winter. Sawyer discovers that it's not the prosthetic tail itself, but rather the fabric sleeve used to attach it that is bothering Winter. Her sensitive and delicate skin requires a special material for the sleeve. Sawyer quickly runs to Dr. Clay, who immediately contacts the doctor treating Winter. The doctor manages to find a more comfortable alternative sleeve for Winter. The doctor goes to the center to fit Winter with the new prosthetic tail and the replacement sleeve. They manage to create the sleeve from a very soft silicone material that matches Winter's skin. They go to Winter to try the new prosthetic tail and sleeve. Initially, Winter rejects the prosthetic, but she eventually accepts it once it becomes comfortable, and she begins to swim naturally. Everyone is overjoyed after successfully saving Winter's life. Later, the day of Kyle's charity event and his swimming competition against the world champion arrives. The race begins, and all the dolphins participate in the show, with the audience thoroughly enjoying the spectacular event. Kyle wins the race and thanks his doctor for helping him overcome his significant setback and return to walking normally. The man who was going to buy the facility decides not to convert it into a hotel. Instead, he will keep it as it is with all the marine animals, provided that Clay manages it his way. Everyone is thrilled with this decision. The movie ends.